We've seen from the government the offer of both devolution and local government reorganisation. They're different things, but they're often talked about together. Devolution is about giving communities like Medway and the region of Kent additional powers and resources that currently sit with central government. So things like public transport and the skills agenda. So having that strategic approach. Local government reorganisation is about how our councils are structured at the moment. We've got 14 councils across our region, one county council, 12 districts and boroughs, and of course Medway as a unitary authority. We're a single tier council, and ultimately across England that's what we'll see in every part of the country. So people will learn from what we've done over the last 27 years, but ultimately local government reorganisation is about moving to a situation where everybody has a unitary authority. Well, of course, in one sense, Medway's had a unitary authority status for 27 years, more than a quarter of a century. So that ability to have a single council approach, residents here have known for some time. But of course, one of the things which has been talked about by central government is the size of councils. And certainly I recognise that under the government's proposals, the size of our current council probably doesn't meet the criteria moving forward. So our region of Kent is 1.9 million people. Government's talked about the figure of around 500,000. So that will mean 4 new councils in my view. That's my preference. But absolutely, that will mean that the current Medway Council footprint will increase, but it won't be Medway Council. The thing to really remember with this, for all parts of our region, the 14 existing councils will no longer be there. There'll be new councils. I say I'm advocating for 4 councils across the region, but whatever it looks like, there'll be new councils, and the 14 existing councils will no longer be there. So there's not an absolute clear timeline as to the final conclusion of this process. We've got a couple of timelines already. Already in March, we've had to make an initial submission, and we've done that already. We've got a final deadline for final submissions and proposals in November, the 28th of November. And during now and then, we'll be having lots of conversations with residents across Medway. We have, however, got a working assumption, and that is that the new councils will have a shadow election in May 2027, that they will become real councils and go into full kind of force in 2028. And that will be the point that the existing councils will kind of shut down and move over to the new councils. And also we anticipate there is a likelihood that the new mayor could be elected in May 2028 as well. But all of that is a working assumption. Of course, when we know more actual detail, we'll share that with everybody. We've had a great working relationship with the other 13 councils over the last few months, whether it's been devolution or local government reorganisation. Government's preference is, of course, if we can come to consensus around one option, that would be ideal. But I think there's a realistic prospect of perhaps a couple of proposals going forward. I advocate for 4 councils. I think that's the best possible option for the region of Kent. But actually others will advocate for 3, and they'll put their arguments across. So I think we'll probably be in a situation when we get to the end of November where we have to make that submission to be saying, actually, these are the 2 options, and it will sit with government to come to the final conclusion as to what the preferred option is that's implemented here in the future. Look, as anyone who follows me on social media will know, my hashtag is always proud to be Medway, and I'm never afraid to say that. But I recognise, of course, within Medway, there's different identities. People may be proud of coming from High Houseau or Twiddle. So identity is really important to people. And of course, the identity of Medway existed long before the Medway Council existed. You know, whether it's our dockyard or our castles, the communities that call this place home, Medway will still exist. And I've written to ministers, and one way of showing that is by becoming a city. We've put that request in many times previously. I've written to ministers as part of the local government reorganisation process to give that further consideration. So be in no doubt that Medway will continue to exist as a place, even if the council isn't named Medway. It's really important we hear the voice of residents. The process so far, because of the pace of change, has been very council-led across the 14 councils of our region. We've now got an opportunity between now and November to have a really detailed conversation. One way we'll be doing that, starting in April, is through Medway Matters Live, but there'll be lots of opportunities to have your say, whether that's online, in person, speaking to your local ward councillors, and as I say, also making sure that we can have those conversations in wider community events that will be happening across Medway over the summer in particular. So have your say. It's really important that the future of local government, we haven't had a change this big in Medway for 30 years, and arguably across local government as a whole for 50 years. So this is important. So having your say is critical, and I'd really encourage you to get involved.